2 new details on the stabbing death of.
So this was an interesting story. From what I understand, the fucking Cashapp guy was stabbed by someone who apparently knew him, but originally that didn't stop everybody in the San Francisco area from running with the crime is rampant here narrative. It seems like it wasn't just like a random stabbing that occurred, but instead one that was premeditated. But, you know, like I said, that didn't stop people from cutting propaganda to claim that, you know, look at San Francisco. Look at how crazy crime is in San Francisco. People are getting stabbed nonstop.
Cashapp founder Bob Lee, who police say was murdered by another tech entrepreneur on a San Francisco street. New court documents allege a possible motive in the attack, and DeMarco Morgan has the story. Good morning, DeMarco.
I mean, look at this. Okay, well, maybe breaking. Mission Local has learned the San Francisco police this morning traveled to Emeryville to make the arrest of April 4th killing of tech exec Bob Lee. The alleged killer also works in tech and purportedly knew Lee, right? And meanwhile, motherfuckers were saying this. Our society seems to have become seriously complacent. 100 years ago in San Francisco, people were publicly hung for their crimes, often by vigilante groups that wanted to send a message. The hangings worked. Crime would plummet after a few of them, often many months at a time. Like, very sorry to hear that. Many people I know have been severely assaulted. Violent crime in San Francisco is horrific. And even if attackers are caught, they're often released immediately. That's not true. Okay? That's not true. It's just a fucking fanciful narrative that they just make up that like a person that stabbed another person is like immediately released from police custody is the most insane fucking thing. And yet people believe it for some reason. Oh my God. Anyway. Is the city taking stronger action to incarcerate repeat violent offenders? The only time when someone who is like violent but is released after being in police custody is when they are like an old white guy, or they are the guy who drove his car into a fucking BLM rally. Okay? Hate to say it, but that is the only time. Off-duty cops, too. You're right. Anyway. Yeah, people were literally talking about, like, hanging motherfuckers from the gallows. Like, let's go find homeless people and brutalize them shit. You know what I mean? That type of shit. Meanwhile, it's a person who knows him.
Rebecca, good morning to you. The new details are shocking in what has already proven to be a disturbing case. Prosecutors calling it a planned and deliberate attack. This morning, 38-year-old Nima Momini now behind bars for the stabbing death of tech exec and founder of Cashapp, Bob Lee. Police say the two men knew each other and got into an argument shortly before the horrific attack.
Stabbing out of there, responding control A1, your tech is A13, PD's around.
Momini, who runs his own tech company, making his first court appearance Friday. He's seen in these sketches signaling a heart symbol with his hands to his family. His sister, Kazar, now at the center of the case, who prosecutors say was a friend of Lee.
I'm Bob Lee, and I'm MobileCoin's freshly minted, not mine, that would be Bitcoin, Chief Product Officer.
In the hours leading up to Lee's death, prosecutors say a friend who was drinking with Lee and Momini's sister earlier that evening witnessed a conversation where Momini had asked Lee if his sister had been doing drugs or anything inappropriate. Lee allegedly reassuring Momini nothing inappropriate happened. That night, police say Lee joined Momini and his sister at the Millennium Tower, where the two men later left together and drove off to a dark, secluded area in Momini's BMW around 2 a.m.
Mr. Momini was driving. They ended up in the area of the stabbing, and that is where they exited the vehicle, and approximately 5 minutes later is when the stabbing took place.
Police reviewing these images obtained by thedailymail.com showing Lee stumbling to an apartment building, then collapsing. Prosecutors say Momeni stabbed Lee 3 times with a 4-inch kitchen knife, including 1 hit to the heart. Momeni's sister saying in text messages later recovered from Lee's phone that morning, "Just want to make sure you're doing okay, because I know Nima came way down hard on you, and thank you for being such a classy man, handling it with class." Momeni arrested 9 days after the attack on 1 count of murder, but investigators not ruling out other potential suspects.
This case is not closed. So long as the investigation is open, it can always yield additional perpetrators.
The suspect's arraignment has been postponed until next week. Guys?
DeMarco, our thanks to you for your reporting. Well, hey,
Yes, we talked about the Kansas one already. We gave the update, chatters. Thank you for wanting me to stay up to date with like all the latest information and news, but we already covered it. Okay. We talked about the Supreme Court, or not Kansas City. Bitch, don't make me talk about Kansas, okay? Don't make me talk about Kansas. Okay, the state. Don't act like shit's popping there. Last time I checked, okay? Last time I checked, we were talking about Kansas. You know what happened in Kansas? The Republican state legislature decided to do penis inspection day. Okay? So don't act like, oh man, this wasn't Kansas. Hey, chill. This is Missouri. This is Missouri. It's not Kansas. You better fucking watch out. Hey. I know. My bad. It is Missouri.